Good morning and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Happy New Year. Welcome to our pre-trip webinar for your Phangan Yoga Wellness Program, otherwise known as our Chakra Journey. More about that later. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. And we're just going to see how many participants join in for this. A couple of the participants on this trip are already with me here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So we'll hopefully already be prepared for their trip to Thailand since they're already here. So thank you for joining me. And as I say, we'll get started in about 2 minutes time, and we will whip through this. I think that some of you are also attending our Koh Samui Live Away program, either immediately preceding or following this program. And so you may have tuned into that webinar already. And so therefore you'll be well prepared for Thailand. But otherwise, for those that are joining us just for this program, I will give you a bit of an overview of what you need to prepare, what to look forward to for this trip. So as I say, we'll get started in about a minute's time, and I see a few people have joined us already. Good morning, Joan, and hello, Gail and Fran. Nice to see you this morning. I'm not sure if Julie and Julie will join us. As I mentioned, they are two of your members who are participating on the trip that are already here in Thailand with me on our the Chiang Mai portion of our pre-trip before the Koh Samui Live Away gets going in a week's time. So yeah, it's warm here in Thailand. I bet you're excited about it, particularly if you're in Ontario right now, affected by the winter storm that I hear notifications coming on my phone. Good. It is 10 o'clock. And so without further ado, we're going to get started. We may have a few that join in as we move forward. But of course, this webinar will be recorded for those that aren't able to attend today, and they can get the information later. So let's get started. We're going to be talking about both weeks, whether you're attending the first week or the second week or both weeks. We have a couple of people are coming for both weeks. And so this will give you the overview. The weeks are similar but different, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So introducing your host, well, that's me. I'm delighted to be hosting this trip. I am, if you might have seen the newsletter at the beginning of the year and my little video commentary that I did, one of my priorities, New Year's resolutions, if you want to call it, is about wellness this year. So I spent the Christmas holiday doing a yoga retreat myself in Bali, Indonesia. And so I'm all about doing what I can for my wellness this year. So I'm particularly excited to be bringing you along on this journey, which is about wellness for mind, body, and soul. So anyway, I think I don't need to introduce myself any more than that. If I haven't met you already, I will be meeting you in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So let's dive into, that's me. Let's dive into the pre-trip preparation, what you need for your trip. Most of the information, I think almost all the information that I'm going to cover today is also in your pre-trip information document. So you will have presumably read through that by now. If you have questions, now's a good time to answer them. You can just type them in the chat box as we go forward. And which reminds me, I should open that chat box so to make sure. So if there's any questions that come in, then yeah, I'll answer them on the fly. So we won't take too much of your time. So obviously, passport and documents. Just make sure you know where it is. If you haven't located it recently, you don't require a visa if you're staying up to 30 days. Now, some of you are on the Koh Samui Live Away together with this, maybe both weeks. So if you haven't already applied for a visa, if you're staying longer than 30 days, then I strongly recommend you go to the Thailand e-visa site. But I will caveat that by saying that we've had a couple of members report that they went to that and applied a month in advance and still don't have their visa and are about to leave and are in a little bit of a panic. If that is the case, don't panic, because actually Thai immigration doesn't isn't paying attention to whether or not you have a return ticket or you have a visa for longer than 30 days when you arrive. The only person that would ask about that is likely to be the airline, who can be stickly about asking for your return ticket to ensure that you're returning, that you have a ticket out of Thailand for within 30 days. And if you're not, that you have a visa. But the Thai embassy in Canada, whoever's processing those e-visas, is taking an inordinate amount of time to process those visas. And so you can always use that as an excuse. But if you have a concern, drop a note to our office and we will see what we can do about it. Because it's a situation that's easily rectified. You can have your visa extended while you're here in Thailand. So that's not a problem. I do recommend you keep a copy of your e-ticket. I mean, you'll probably have it on your mobile phone anyway, but you might want to print it out just in case. I've never really experienced a problem with that before. But I also do recommend you make copies or photos of your passport and any other important documents. That includes prescriptions. It might include passwords for your phone or your Google account or anything like that. Anything that you think you remotely might need to remember or have written down somewhere. Just make a copy of it on your phone or print a scan out just so that you aren't caught out in case any of that's needed. But otherwise, that's it. You're ready to go. You're ready to come to Thailand. And we're excited to have you here. So, oops, this thing has gone a little bit out of order. So sorry about that. What to pack is next. And so the key thing here is less is more. The weather here is warm and beautiful and sunny and hot, high 20s during the day, maybe even 30. And at night, it cools off to maybe 23 or 24, if you can call that cool. So you really only need beachwear, shorts, short sleeve tops. There's nothing formal about this program whatsoever. Phangan is a very casual environment. You'll need yoga wear. Now, do you have to go out and buy a yoga outfit from Lululemon? No, not necessarily. As long as you have pants or some something that is flexible, training pants. If you've done yoga before, you'll know what I mean. It just makes it a lot easier. Then beachwear, of course, is essential. As far as footwear is always the one where I say you got to be mindful a bit of your footwear. Quite honestly, in Thailand, I wear flip-flops 95% of the time. And the only time that I don't is if I'm going on a hike, which we will be doing, or if we're going to a beach. The beaches are sandy, but there can be coral from here and there. So if you're, concerned at all about that, or you want to be mindful, then water shoes are a great idea for hiking. You don't necessarily need, and we're not doing any major hikes here, but we want to be prepared. We're just going to sort of see when everybody arrives the degree to some of the places that we go, but we'll be at some waterfalls. So walking on the rocks. So Tiva type sandals, or Keens, I think they call them. Those closed toe sandals are a handy thing to have for what we're doing. Sun protection, obviously, bring a hat, bring sunglasses, sunscreen from home. That's all very important. One thing to keep in mind, again, depending on what your exact itinerary is, if you have a flight, if you've booked all the way into Koh Samui and all the way back out of Koh Samui without a stopover in Bangkok, then you will have the weight allowance that the international carrier allows. So whether that's EVA Air or Air Canada or whatever it may be, if you are breaking your journey and you are having a separate flight on Bangkok Airways to Koh Samui, then you will be subject to their weight limit, which is 20 kilograms. And international carriers are usually 23 kilograms. It doesn't seem like a big difference, but they can be sticklers about it. And of course, if they catch you at the airport and you have 2 kilograms too much, if you can't repack it, they charge you a bit of an inordinate amount of money. So just be mindful, 20 kilograms, which honestly is more than you will possibly need for this trip in terms of luggage. In fact, you'll probably want to leave some space for when you go back, because I know pretty much everybody buys something. So that's in terms of really what to pack. I think it's pretty straightforward. Other things to remember in the what to pack sort of category, a travel adapter, although even this isn't really necessary. Most of the plugs in Thailand are universal, so they will accept both the North American style plug as well as the European style plug. So you're pretty much good to go. The voltage in Thailand is 220 as opposed to 110 at home. Most appliances will work on both voltages. The only thing is hair dryers and hair straighteners and this kind of thing. There are some devices, but this is a yoga retreat, so you shouldn't really need that stuff. But nevertheless, if you aren't sure, check your appliance. Make sure it has 110 to 230, which is what most electronic devices use in terms of voltage. Do bring your mobile phone. If you're coming on our Koh Samui Live Away program adjacent, which most of you are, then we'll give you a SIM card. And if you're not, we'll get you a SIM card anyway. We're going to be together for the majority of this trip, as opposed to the Live Away, where there's sort of a lot of free time to do things on your own. But on this trip, we're spending a lot of time together, so you're never too far away in terms of communicating. But I will still be sending messages out to the group via Telegram, which you can obviously get on Wi-Fi. So you don't need to have a SIM card as much as on the Live Away program, for example. But as I say, most of the group is doing this in conjunction with the Live Away, so you'll have a SIM card anyway. So not to worry. What else? There are some mosquitoes around. You might want to bring some insect repellent. You can get it here. The stuff that most often sold tend to be more natural, sort of lemongrass based stuff. If you're somebody that's particularly annoyed by insects, and there aren't tons of them. There's nowhere near as many as we get in sort of central Canada in summertime. But if you are somebody that gets bitten a lot or you're annoyed, then you may want to bring some good insect repellent from home, because it is much more effective than the natural stuff here locally. But otherwise, honestly, most people don't really pay much attention to the bugs, because they're really not that bad compared to at home. If you're somebody that gets heated up quickly, whether it's just sitting at the beach or going for a hike or something like that, we've found members have really appreciated the suggestion of bringing one of those battery operated handheld fans. You can also get them at the markets here, but again, it might be something you pick up at a dollar store if you're somebody that is sort of warm all the time, because I can tell you, you're going to get here, you're going to walk off the plane. It's going to be walking into a bit of a wall, particularly given the weather that you've had now in Canada. You will sweat a lot. But for those of us that live here in this environment most of the time, we have this philosophy: let sweat be sweat. And so you just sort of live with it. And we're on a yoga retreat, so you're going to sweat, and that's all good. Please do otherwise. If you have medications and supplements, bring copies of prescriptions. Definitely keep them in your hand luggage. Keep a copy on your phone so that that's readily available. My sort of trick of the trade things that I always bring along: Ziploc bags. I find they're super handy to keep anything dry that could otherwise get moist. Again, a lot of humidity. We are doing some stuff with waterfalls and this and that. So if you want to tuck a wallet in, or just some money, or anything that you want to keep dry, Ziploc bags are great. I love them. I always carry a bunch with me. And yeah, I think that's about it in terms of other things to remember. We'll talk about money for a second. And again, many of you that have been on our trips will know that we recommend WiseCard as a great way to keep international currency in a debit card format that you can access via ATM or by tapping wherever they accept credit cards. Or you can shoot money here and there. As an example, and I don't offer this to most groups because otherwise it would become unwieldy for me, but in Thailand, the ATM fees are pretty high. So if you need to, if you want to take out a bunch of money, or you found something in the market that you want to buy and you need a bunch of cash, you can, with Wise, you can beam me, 1,000 Thai baht, or $100, a couple of thousand Thai baht, into my account. I can beam it into my Thai account, and take it out of an ATM for free. There's no charge. So it saves you the banking fees here, which are a little bit hefty. It's about $10 to take money out of a bank machine in Thailand. So you may want to do that when you first arrive in Bangkok, so you have some cash, so you feel comfortable. And so if you do use a bank machine, I do recommend take out a larger amount of money, and then just do it once, and you just put the cash in your safe box in your room. But as I say, I will sort of help you out with all of that. Um, in Thailand, you will probably in Koh Phangan, you will need cash for the dinners out that aren't part of the program, because they don't take credit cards in these smaller restaurants that are prevalent on the island. Some of them might and charge a small surcharge for the merchant fee that they get dinged, but cash is kind of king for most places on Koh Phangan. And don't try to get Thai baht in Canada, please. The banks, forget it. I mean, it's hard enough to get US dollars in Canada, let alone Thai baht. So and the airport exchange places charge a ridiculous current conversion fee. So please don't do that. You can get it here, and there are bank machines literally everywhere. So I think that's about it for cash. Telegram. So as I mentioned, we bring your phone. We will use the Telegram app for communicating with you. We are spending much of the time together, so it's not as critical as on our live away trips and some of our other trips, where sort of people have a lot of free time, and you have free time, but it's not as crucial. But it's just really handy. Plus, if something comes up and if you need to get a hold of me at some time when I'm not around, I'm pretty much always on Telegram. I don't want to say 24/7, but most of the time. Please do download Telegram, and we gave you some instructions in the documentation that you were sent. Download it ahead of time, because it's easier to set up when you're at home, because it does require a phone number, which you don't need to give them. I mean, it's private. You don't need to give to anybody else, but it's a lot easier to get it set up and running when you are at home before you arrive in destination. And this way as well, if while you're traveling to Thailand, if you have a problem, and we had this come up, right? One of the Julie, who's joining us on this wellness trip that arrived in Chiang Mai today. Her flight was 2 hours delayed out of Toronto because of the snowstorm, and nearly missed her connection. But she, was able to let us know. I'm at the airport. There's a delay. Very, very helpful to let me know if something's happening that might affect your arrival time, so that we can inform our transfer partners. So that's Telegram. Again, information in your pre-trip information document. Do check it out. Health protocols. Basically, not much I'm going to dwell on here, other than, of course, our trips are non-smoking. Which, of course, you can smoke, in your own space. But around other members, we ask that you refrain from smoking at any point during all of the organized activities on this trip. The more important thing is what happens if you feel ill, if you have any symptoms that might come up. There's talk about COVID around here and there and all the rest of it. So for the out of respect for your fellow members, if you are not feeling well, if you catch a sneeze or a cough at any time, please let me know. Please wear a mask. Again, in deference to your other members, we just don't want any, spread anything that nobody would want. That's just much appreciated. And, anything else that comes up, obviously we'll deal with on site. But I just wanted to make that known for everybody so that we're all on the same page. So let's talk about flying over to Thailand. You'll fly over, and if you determine that there's going to be delay, so let's say you're flying EVA Air via Taipei, which what we've heard is that they have been consistently late for the last week or 2 weeks out of Toronto because of weather, because of de-icing, and they somehow didn't factor that into their schedule or whatever. So the flights have been arriving in Taipei an hour late, is what was reported to me today by our members that are here. So if you have a delay that might cause you to, or will cause you to, miss your connecting flight, so that you won't be on the plane you're scheduled to be on arriving in Koh Samui, then that's when it's important to let us know so that we can let our transfer partner know that, hey, you're not going to be there. Uh, uh, Otherwise, if you're on the flight and the flight is late, that's fine because we know the flight is late. That's easy for us to know. But if you're not on the flight, if you don't tell us, we have no way of knowing, and then that just becomes a little bit confusing. So get to the airport early, particularly if the weather's not so good. Keep that delays@wheelandanchor.ca email handy. So if you both email delays@wheelandanchor.ca and you send me a Telegram message, for sure, we'll make sure that we know where you're at. You can use Telegram as well in pretty much connecting airports. So even if you only have a short connection time, drop us a note if you think there's going to be a problem. If there's not going to be a problem, please, you don't need to email us. We get enough as it is. Make yourself comfortable on the plane. Use the timeshifter.com app. We were talking about it at dinner tonight in Thailand for those that just arrived. A couple people used it, said, yes, they definitely felt that they were not as totally beat by following the app. So again, it's in your pre-trip information document. Check out the app, download it. It does send you little messages. Mine just went off now saying, oh, you might have to get up a little earlier than you expected or get sun in your eyes. But on reports from a number of our members, they say that if you do follow the rules that are recommended, it does work. Turn off my time shifter app. And drink lots of water on the plane. Hydration is key. It's going to be key throughout this trip because it is warm. You will sweat. It's important to stay hydrated as much as possible. Yeah, and that's it. So you will fly presumably through Bangkok to Koh Samui. I don't think anybody's on any flight that is coming from anywhere other than Bangkok. And so you'll connect in Bangkok. You'll take the domestic flight down. Do note they do serve a small meal, believe it or not, on that 1 hour flight between Bangkok and Koh Samui. Depending on the time of day, it might just be a light sandwich. It might actually be a hot meal. So on a 1 hour flight, I mean, fancy that. But that is what Bangkok Airways does. They do have quite good service. You'll arrive in the airport in Koh Samui. It's one of the most beautiful airports in the world because it's all open air. So it's very cool. The most important thing to remember when you arrive is that it's a very small arrival area. You'll get off the plane on a little vehicle that will bring you to the terminal. And then right there is the baggage carousel, and you'll grab your bags, and then you'll enter out into what you think is the arrival area, but you're still not at the arrival area. You've got to follow the sign, and we put this information in the document that says meeting point. So you follow it out, down a hall, hang a right, hang a left. You've got to go all the way to where it says meeting point, to the end of this hallway, because that is where, and it's like 3 hallways, and it's all outdoor, so it's lovely, but go to where it says meeting point. So just keep going, and when you think you're there, you might not be there. You just got to keep going. It's not far. It's only a couple of 100 meters, but it's just the public meeting point where we're allowed to pick people up is the furthest point that you can go. You'll know when you get there because you can't really go any further. And we'll pick you up, and if there's any issue at all, there is Wi-Fi in the airport in Samui, so you can definitely let us know. The hotel is not far away. It's like 15 minutes away at most from the airport, so all will be well. And then you'll get picked up, and you'll be brought to the pier, where you will then take the ferry over to Koh Phangan. So the information will be in your transfer voucher and the voucher or the ticket for your ferry. And then you'll get on the ferry, and then you will go across. It's 30 minutes across to Koh Phangan Tongsalat. There's only one place to get out. Just do remember, sometimes the boat continues on to Koh Tao. So just do remember, after half an hour, first stop, Koh Phangan, you get off, and you will be there at the pier, and I will be there with a smiling face waiting to pick you up. So while we're on Koh Phangan, because we are a relatively small group for both of the weeks, I will be your transfer driver for all of the transfers that we need to do. There's not big distances on this island, but nevertheless, it's also not walkable. So I'll be driving you around for the week or 2 weeks that you are with us on the island. So let's go over the itinerary in brief. I mean, you've probably read it over 100 times. First thing I'm going to say is that the program that you've been given is subject to change. So this is a yoga and wellness week. It is being primarily facilitated by Andrew and Clelia. I introduced you to them in the original webinar when you booked this trip, and I met them just before Christmas here in Thailand, and they're super excited to welcome you. So the program each day will be you'll be staying at the Summer Luxury Beach Resort. You can see it pictured here. It's right on the beach. And it has a lovely, huge pool and an amazing spa called Faro. It's one of my favorite spas on the island. And so each morning you'll get up, and before breakfast, we're going to zip over to Siam Healing Center, where we're going to be doing our morning yoga, breakfast, and then a chakra conversation or breathing, or there's a number of different things that we're doing. So please don't take the itinerary literally, because it's going to be somewhat adjusted and tailored in the interest of what we're after on this program, which is this yoga wellness, this chakra journey. And Andrew and Clelly are going to talk about more about what that means. The chakras, if you don't know, are the energy points in the body going from the crown, the third eye, which is basically your forehead, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacrum, and your root. But anyway, as I say, each of the days on the trip will be somewhat focused around one of those chakras, from the yoga in the morning to the activity that we do in the afternoon. And so the first day, we're going to have a little bit of an orientation in the late afternoon by Andrew and Chloe. They're going to explain all this stuff to you. They're going to explain the point of the week. We're going to talk a little bit about logistics and some of the things that we're doing. And we're going to make sure that we understand from you what it is that you want to get out of participating in this trip, because this is really about you sort of, call it, creating a little new reality for yourself, a little bit of wellness. So there's lots. So it's something to consider for this trip is, what do you want to get out of this? I mean, obviously having a lovely week on a tropical island, but what else do you want to get? What intention do you have? So this is going to be a little bit of the journey. We're going to have a great welcome dinner at Siam Healing Center. Part of this trip as well is that we're going to introduce you. I'll flip through the pictures of the resort. You've seen it already. It's lovely. It's gorgeous. You're gonna have a great time. So each morning we're gonna go more or less first thing in the morning. We're gonna transfer around 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:15. We'll leave the hotel. We'll drive to Siam. It's like 10, not even 10 minutes drive away. And we'll do our morning yoga. And it'll be different forms of yoga, and I'll get into that. It's not going to be super strenuous yoga. So we're not here doing like a full on hatha yoga, sweat until I can barely break. That's not, again, the agenda here. We're going to do a refreshing, in energizing sort of a yoga experience. We'll have breakfast right at Siam. So we're not having breakfast at the resort, but at Siam, it's going to be very healthy food. They do a lot of organic source stuff. It's really lovely. We're also going to be doing a lot of vegan, vegetarian oriented meals. Now, not exclusively throughout the week or the 2 weeks, but we're going to introduce you to that, particularly if you're somebody that has not had a lot of experience with vegan and vegetarian. We have some amazing vegan and vegetarian restaurants on the island, and you're going to get a good sense of that. So we'll sort of spend the morning there dealing with all of that. We will come back around late morning, midday, depending on the day, to the hotel, and you'll have a time to relax. You'll have a time to go to the beach or enjoy the swimming pool or go for a massage at the spa or whatever it may be. And then we will have, we'll transfer off to lunch in sort of the early afternoon, early to mid afternoon, sort of like 1:30, depending on the activity for the day. And again, we'll let you know on a day by day basis how that goes. And then in the afternoon, each day we'll have a different activity. So for example, the second day, we're going to go to a waterfall. The first week it'll be one waterfall. The second week it'll be another waterfall. We will probably have some orientation, maybe some breathing, maybe some meditation, something in conjunction with our chakra journey that we're going to do each of those days. And again, this will all be explained in more detail by Andrew and Clelia. We may also change the days around a bit, probably not too much, but again, just go with the flow, because things are meant to be, easy, relaxing, energizing. And then we will finish off typically sort of, yeah, mid to late afternoon, somewhere between 4:30, so there'll be time in the afternoon for you to enjoy yourself and embark in some other activities. The dinners, for the most part, we've left out, so they're on your own. You may have had enough to eat with breakfast and lunch. There's a great restaurant called Chardonnay right in the Summer Luxury Beach Resort. We may do some dinners out together. There's a whole bunch of restaurants that I'd love to show you. We'll just sort of see how everybody feels. So at no time should you feel compelled to do anything other than what you want to do. So if you don't want to go out for dinner, you don't have to go out for dinner. You're just, and if you one morning you say, screw it, I don't want to get up for yoga, don't get up for yoga. And we'll arrange to come and get you later on. So just, you got to follow your own needs and your own thing. So I see a couple questions. I want to answer them right now. Does Telegram require cell coverage? The location part of Telegraph, and I'll load on my Apple phone. So the Telegram, yes, you have to be connected to the internet, whether it's Wi-Fi. It doesn't require cell coverage per se. So I wouldn't worry about the location part of Telegram. It should work fine. But if you have any concerns with it, again, the easiest way is to show it to maybe a younger generation member of the family. But it doesn't need cell coverage per se. It just needs an internet connection, which means Wi-Fi works perfectly well. Do we need to schedule a spa in advance? No, you can schedule it on site. There's lots of opportunities. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of things that you can do at the end of the presentation. Walking or hiking sticks? No, I wouldn't bother with that. We're not doing any super long walks. So no, that's not required. I wouldn't bring that along. So just to address some of the questions that were raised up till now, if you have other questions, let me know. Just talking about some other days in the itinerary. Another day that we're going to do is we're going to visit Orion Healing Center. It's one of the other sort of yoga retreat center type places. We're going to do a Wim Hof ice bath experience. If you've never done an ice bath before, you're in for a treat. And so that's something that we're going to offer in week 1. In week 2, on that day, for example, we're going to sample some Muay Thai training. And so Muay Thai is a Thai, effectively a martial art. And it's a very, very, intense, but very beneficial form of training. So you're going to get a taste of what that's all about. Who knows? Maybe you'll all be Muay Thai fighters by the next time. I doubt it. But nevertheless, it's really kind of exciting. We're going to have a spa day, of course. We're going to have a spa day at a special place called Anudash that we're going to, which is also not far from the hotel because we've sort of reserved it for ourselves. There'll be opportunity for massage and sauna. We'll do sunset on the beach. We'll go out for a wonderful dinner at one of my favorite seafood restaurants there. So we're going to do that on another day. We're going to do a day with walking meditation. So we're going to go out to, we believe, Inner Walk. The monk has been away, but in any event, there are a couple of places that we have to choose from. But the one place that's most known on the island is called Inner Walk, and it's been specifically designed for walking meditations. So a typical walking meditation thing is something that you do over several days or even several weeks. Obviously, we're only going to get a taste of it. We're going to do it one day, but it will really transform, I think, your relationship to meditation and how all that works. And I'd be very intrigued to see how you find it. So we're going to do that one of the days. On one of our final days, we're going to actually try an ecstatic dance. So you may have never heard of that before either. And this is basically full self-expression dancing in the middle of the day and with some, very cool music. And it's also incredibly invigorating. So the programs for week 1 and week 2 will be similar with some difference in the content in terms of the places that we go. Where one week we're going to go to Bottle Beach, which is a remote beach on the north end of the island. And the other week we're going to go to Tansadet Beach, which is a beach on the east side of the island. So there'll be similarities in the programming. So for those of you that are doing both weeks, There will be some consistency in the flow, but we're going to be changing things up. And yeah, giving you the best possible experience that we can. And so, yeah, I'm confident you're going to have an amazing week. So anyway, see, this is the Bottle Beach that we're going to visit, one of my favorite beaches on the island, and Orion Healing Center. And I forgot to advance all the slides as we were going forward. The walking meditation, the ecstatic dance, all part of our programming. A couple other things just to give you a heads up about things that we could do, that you could do on an individual basis, or we could do a bunch of us. So first of all, I'm delighted that my partner Mikael is going to be joining us from Estonia. He is a specialist in a very unique form of massage, which is kind of like related to like a Lomi style of massage. He'll tell you all about it. And so this is something extra that you can book through him directly. He's going to be participating with us in part of the retreat. And he'll tell you all about the benefits of that. And if that's something that you're interested to participate in, again, you can book it on site, nothing to pre-book, and we'll let you know how that works. Also, our local partner Pang has a small little spa called Chaya Wellness, where she does the most incredible facial massage with sound healing and vibration. And I tell you, it's a mind-blowing experience. So Pang will also tell you a little bit about what she does. So that's something else that you can book while with us on site. And then finally, I'm going to mention something else, and this is a real outlier for some of you. I throw it out there, and I haven't put this in writing anywhere. If anybody has considered in their life to do a medicinal journey called ayahuasca, this is a plant psychedelic that is becoming extremely popular around the world, and has been in use for centuries in the Amazon. A very dear friend of mine is a practitioner of the ayahuasca plant. And so there is an opportunity for a private or semi-private session of ayahuasca. If you don't know anything about it, or if you do know something about it, or you want to know more about it, please send me a private message. I will send you the information. That is something that would have to be pre-booked because he is in quite high demand. So his availability is limited. So, and yeah, because of the nature of that medicine, it's not something that we put in writing per se, but that is available for anybody that might be interested. And so if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it, AYAHUASCA, ayahuasca. And you've probably heard about it because there's lots of talk in the media about it these days. So those are a few other optional things that you could do while there, the latter being something you have to let me know in advance if that's of interest to you. So that pretty much wraps up the trip. If you have any questions that haven't otherwise been asked, then now would be the time to ask them. And otherwise, drop me a note by Telegram, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Anything related to your booking, your travel arrangements, anything like that. Obviously, the person to contact is either Aura or Paula or Barb, depending on who you book the trip with. So they'll be able to answer all those questions. And otherwise, we just want to make sure that you have everything you need for this trip. But as long as you come in with an open mind and a great attitude and a great spirit, which I'm sure you all have, then we are going to have an incredible time. This will be a week you don't soon forget. I can tell you that. So I can't wait to see you. Yeah, here's our information. I'm sure you have it already a million times over in case there's any other questions that you might have. I look forward to seeing you, meeting you in a couple of weeks' time in Phangan, and to showing you my home, my beautiful island, and all of the special things that we do there. So take care of yourselves until then. And yeah, we'll see you in a few short weeks. Thanks for joining me this evening, or this morning, I should say. Evening for me, morning for you. Soon we'll be in the same time zone. So until then, have yourselves a great day, and don't let the snow get you down. You'll be here sooner than you think. Okay, good night. Bye-bye.